Describe the special education teacher's role in supporting, learning, improving, planning, practice, upholding professional expectations and ethics, and collaboratory advancing in the profession. Well, in the special education teacher's role and to support and improving learning is to make sure that we're going whatever the student needs in their IEP and 504 plan. Not just upholding to what's in their plan to make sure their goals are met, whether it's a reading goal, a goal if is to make sure they are transitioning, because some students have problems with transitioning. Another goal may be to tie their shoe, which is the basic need skills. Or another goal can be making sure that they can count from 1 to 10. And make sure that we're keeping up with updating our IEPs, updating things they need. If it's a behavioral student, making sure that the student is making sure their behavior goals are met, to make sure to get like reinforcements if they have a change of behavior in their day. Like, okay, Johnny, for another example, okay, Johnny, if you do all your work today, you get a piece of candy, and if you don't do your work today, you don't get candy today. So, planning with the teachers, the parents, and everything to make sure that those students' needs get met. Explain the general education teachers' roles in supporting, learning, improving, planning, and practice, upholding professional expectations and ethics, and collaboratively advancing the profession. So just like how I talked about in the first question about special education teachers, it's the same thing with general education teachers. Making sure that, even the general education students get their needs met when it comes to reading, math, science, even if they have trouble in social skills. Because just because the kids are not in special education doesn't mean that those other students don't have problems, not just like in math, science, and reading, but social skills and communication and time management and other things that they can work on. So it's basically the same thing, maybe not as challenging as in special education, where we have a lot more we have to deal with, and or helping those students in need even for the simple things, but also making sure that even in general education, those students' needs get met and everything. Discuss the dispositions you currently process that will help you become a successful teacher, including the dispositions you need to work on before you enter the classroom for your first year teaching. Well, some of the things that I currently possess that will help me become a teacher, my first year, probably having patience. You always got to have patience, and not just dealing with special education students and general education students. You have to have patience. You have to make sure that the students, when they have behavior problems, or you don't lose your cool, or having patience on things they don't get. So let's say you could be in an MD special education classroom, and the other students may all be on a second grade level reading. But a student of yours that may have trouble with second grade reading because they're still in the kindergarten level. So you have to have patience so they can eventually catch up with the other students. Also, you have to have understanding. You have to have understanding with these students, because without having understanding, how can you be able to teach the students and make them comfortable with you, and make sure you have a safe space for them? So that also what I also have: understanding, patience, kindness, and love to give to the students. What I probably need to work on before I entered the classroom, I think personally spelling, pretty much. I know it sounds silly, but if I want to help my other students and what they need to learn in the classroom, especially when it comes to the English department, I think one thing I need to fix for myself is with spelling and grammar so I can help out my students in the classroom as well. There's certain things that I think teachers may need, especially if we have trouble with our own, with work and everything, we need to brush on so we can help the students as well in the classroom. And discuss the effects of personal bias have on expectations teachers have for their students and how these bias can affect the relationship with the students and family. Well, if teachers don't understand the type of students that they have, or they may have a high expectations, like every child on the autism spectrum is one way, if they feel like that because if they're autistic and they cannot read or they cannot write, they may feel that way for all students who are autistic. And what can affect them is they may not willing or not able to teach them what they need to know, or maybe think that they can't learn or they can't read anything. And that can affect their ability to teach those children, to make sure they can move on and whatever that teacher thinks they cannot do. And to me, that if you have a bias already, you shouldn't be teaching, because you're supposed to be there for understanding. And that can not just affect the students, that can affect the communication with the parents, and probably angry some parents. If you think this way about my child, how can you be there to help my child grow?